Do I look good? Haram, haram. What does Islam say about wanting to look good? And it's something natural, I think. Most of us want to look good. But what does Islam teach us about this? One of the companions asked the Prophet ﷺ when he heard him tell him that the person who has kibr, who has arrogance in his heart, he will not enter the Jannah. He said, but someone likes to have nice clothes and nice shoes. He said that indeed Allah is Jameel. Allah is beautiful, He loves beauty. So there's nothing wrong with that, but we benefit from this hadith, the one who has the arrogance in his heart, and there's a problem. So as long as it doesn't lead to arrogance, we want to look good, we want to dress good, but it doesn't lead to arrogance, there's nothing wrong with that, inshallah ta'ala. Also, it shouldn't lead us to do extravagant things, especially when it comes to the sisters. Sisters, for example, when it comes to their makeup, it comes to wearing haram types of clothing. Even we're talking about some hijabi sisters who put haram elements into their hijab so they look good for others. Putting perfume on so they smell good for others. All of these are haram elements and major sins that they fall into in order to look good for others. So if wanting to look good leads you to haram, you stay away from that. But if it's a halal thing where you're someone who has some fashion, you look good, then there's nothing wrong with that, alhamdulillah. In fact, Islam encourages that, and Islam wants us to look presentable. It wants us to look good. What does Allah tell us in the Quran? خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ. You need to take your adornments, meaning to look good when you go to the masjid, when you go to pray and stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we're going to the masjid 5 times a day, then that means at all times we need to be looking good. And you look at the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ taking care of himself and how he would groom and all of this, also that's an example. When you look even at our scholars and how they were when it came to looking good and being presentable, and when the representing the ilm, the representing the knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah, you'll find many who had a type of zuhud that didn't really care how they dressed and how they looked. But honestly, when you see someone, we saw from the scholars who taught us, the ones who had the crisp thobes, they weren't being extravagant, they weren't wasting money, but they looked good, freshly ironed, freshly clean. It has an impact. I'm coming to teach you what Allah and the Messenger said, and I'm looking good. And this is the sunnah or the way of the great Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala. When he used to go to his majlis to teach the hadith of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to look good, have very nice thobes on, and he would put the bukhur, he had the perfume on himself, and he would do the bukhur in his majlis, and make sure his majlis it smelled good as he would sit down and speak about the hadith of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.